In this video, I'll be talking about 5 retired NBA stars whom I believe don't get the recognition they deserve today. These are players that are at least semi-well known, but still get underappreciated by many NBA fans. Now this list I'm about to put out is not in order, and not everyone will be included. I'll most likely make more of these kind of videos in the future though, so comment any ideas that you guys have. The first player I'll be talking about is John Havlicek. Hondo is a player that most NBA fans have heard of, but is still often forgotten when talking about all-time legends. Despite playing in Boston with the Celtics, arguably the most successful franchise in NBA history, he's still the Celtics' all-time leading scorer, which many people don't know about. And despite the narratives that he was carried by Bill Russell to most of his championships, he still outplayed Russell in some of the later finals appearances they shared and helped lead his team to 2 more in 1974 and 1976, ending his career with a ridiculous 8 total championships. Hondo had career stats of 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists per game. Along with that, he made 8 all-defensive teams. This is even crazier when you consider that for nearly half his career, there was no such thing as an all-defensive selection, so he likely would have made far more. He made the All-Star team 13 times and won the 1974 Finals MVP, and once again would have likely won a few more had the award existed prior to 1969. The second player I'll be talking about is Tim Duncan. I already made a separate video highlighting why I believe Tim Duncan is a top 5 player of all time, but I'll give a quick summary here. Duncan has one of the best resumes of any player ever, with a combined 30 All-League selections, a 5-1 finals record, winning 3 of those finals MVPs and 2 regular season MVPs. At his peak, he was maybe the best two-way player in the league, and he anchored the Spurs' dynasty defense for his whole time with the organization, which spanned for 19 whole seasons. He had incredible longevity, and his advanced stats matched just about anyone peak for peak. To me, it's crazy that many people have him low in their top 10, and sometimes even below the top 10 all-time players. He's extremely underrated, and undoubtedly the most underrated top 10 player of all time. The third player I'll be talking about is Michael Cooper. If you just look at a page of his stats, you might not seem impressed. He has pretty average career stats of 9 points, 4 assists, and 3 rebounds per game. However, offense wasn't his main weapon. He was one of the greatest defensive guards of all time, where he made 8 all-defensive teams, even winning a Defensive Player of the Year. He helped the Magic and the Lakers win 5 championships, being vital to each one of those championships. He was also extremely durable, playing at least 80 games in 9 of his 12 seasons, which included a 5-season stretch where he played every single game. His best performances came in the playoffs, especially in his finals games against the rival Celtics, where he had his 3 high-scoring playoff games and, in the words of Larry Bird, was the best defender I ever faced. The fourth player I'll be talking about is George Gervin. Gervin is another player that is very well known but isn't brought up much when talking about all-time greats. He's one of the greatest scorers in history, winning 4 scoring titles and having 2 separate seasons averaging over 32 points per game for the Spurs. He's 10th all-time for points per game in the NBA and 7th all-time in the ABA. He has nearly 27,000 career points combining the 2 leagues and did this in just 14 seasons. That's almost 2,000 points per game per season. He also was a 12-time All-Star, made 9 All-League teams, and was a 1980 All-Star MVP. Part of the reason he's often forgotten is his lack of team success, but he did his best, bringing them to the conference finals 3 times, with multiple great playoff performances on the way. The final player I'll be talking about in this video is Kevin Johnson. KJ is a player that suffered from lots of injuries in his later days, but he still made a great career while uninjured, and was a beast on the court. He's one of only 3 players to average over 20 points and 12 assists per game for a whole season and won a Most Improved Player award, as well as making 5 All-NBA teams. He shot 49% from the field, which is extremely efficient for a 6'1" point guard. Throughout his time in the league, he was consistently one of the best passers and playmakers, and while he was never able to win a championship, he did help Barkley and the Suns to a finalship in 1993, and nearly even defeated Hakeem and the Rockets in Game 7 of the 1995 Western Semis, scoring 46 points with 10 assists and even dunking on Hakeem, but they ultimately lost by 1 point. Overall, I believe Kevin Johnson is a player that should get brought up more often when talking about some of the greatest point guards in this league's history. That just about wraps up this video. If you have any thoughts, ideas, or even suggestions, or if you think I missed anyone, make sure to comment below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Thanks for all the support, guys.